Ethan Miller adjusted the straps of his backpack and stepped carefully down from the small shuttle. The surface of the planet beneath him glowed faintly, almost as if it were alive. Crystalline rocks jutted out of the ground at strange angles, shimmering in colors he had never seen before. The air was thin but breathable, and a faint hum seemed to come from the ground itself. Ethan had traveled many light years to reach this place, a planet uncharted and unexplored. But nothing had prepared him for the beauty that lay before him. He took a cautious step forward. Each crystal underfoot made a soft, musical sound when he pressed on it. The valley stretched wide, with massive floating land masses above, suspended in the air as though gravity had forgotten them. Strange plants with translucent leaves swayed gently, even though no wind moved. Ethan's heart raced with excitement. This was exactly what he had come for, something that could make Earth take notice. As he ventured deeper into the valley, a shadow fell across his path. Ethan froze. The air felt colder, and the soft hum of the planet grew louder, almost like a warning. He looked up and saw them, alien warriors, tall and muscular, their skin glistening in a mix of dark blues and silvers. Each one carried a weapon unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. He counted at least 8 of them, forming a circle around him, dot at the center. Standing taller than the rest was a figure that made Ethan's breath catch. She was unlike any creature he had seen in human history or in the images from alien reports. Her skin shimmered like liquid metal, her eyes glowing with a golden light that seemed to pierce straight through him. Her armor was sleek but elegant, decorated with patterns that pulsed like energy flowing through her body. She carried herself with such authority that even the warriors around her seemed to hesitate. Ethan instinctively knew who she was. "You dare set foot on my world." Her voice rang out. It was sharp, commanding, and yet melodic. "Do you have any idea what you have done?" Ethan swallowed hard. He knew this was dangerous. These beings were not friendly, and their queen did not look like someone who tolerated mistakes. But despite the fear rising in his chest, he could not stop himself from noticing the elegance and beauty of her. He had studied alien species before, and yes, they could be majestic. But this was something else entirely. I'm Ethan Miller," he said slowly, raising his hand slightly to show he meant no harm. "I come from Earth. I'm here to explore." Peacefully, the Queen's eyes narrowed. "Earth," she repeated, her tone dripping with contempt. "You humans are so bold." Or foolish. She stepped closer, her movements smooth and precise. "Tell me, human, why should I not destroy you here, where no one will ever know your kind existed?" Ethan's mind raced. He knew that any wrong word could mean his death. He also knew that showing fear could make things worse. He had trained for encounters with alien civilizations, but nothing could truly prepare someone for standing before a being of such power and beauty. And yet, in that instant, without thinking, a small smile appeared on his face. "Because you're beautiful," he said, his voice calm but steady. For a moment, the air seemed to freeze. The Queen stopped in her tracks. Her golden eyes widened slightly, and her lips parted as if she could not believe what she had heard. The surrounding warriors shifted uneasily, confused by their Queen's sudden pause. Ethan realized immediately that he had said something dangerous, maybe the most dangerous thing possible, but he could not take it back now. The Queen's voice was low, almost a growl. "How dare you even look at me?" she hissed. But the sharpness in her tone had changed. There was something softer there, something unexpected. Ethan took a careful step forward, still keeping his hands visible. "I'm not trying to insult you. I mean, you are the most remarkable being I have ever seen. I have never seen anyone like you before. I just had to say it." There was silence. The Queen studied him, her golden eyes scanning every part of him as if weighing his very soul. Then, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. The warriors around her tensed again, but she held up her hand, signaling them to stay. "You speak boldly for a human," she said finally. "No one in my court has ever dared to speak to me this way. Tell me, Ethan Miller, why should I trust you?" Ethan swallowed. "Because I have no reason to harm you. My mission is to explore and learn. Earth does not wish for conflict, we want friendship. If you see me as a threat, I will leave." But if you let me stay, I can show you that humans are different from what you expect." The queen tilted her head, intrigued but cautious. "Different? Or merely foolish?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Maybe a little of both. But we survive because of it. We try things no one else would dare." A long pause followed. The queen's eyes softened slightly, and Ethan noticed the faintest hint of a smile on her lips. For a moment, she seemed less like a ruler and more like a being curious about the world and the stranger in front of her. "Very well, human," she said finally. "You may speak, but any sign of deceit, and I will end you where you stand. My name is Zyra, remember it. You will need it to survive here." Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and exhilaration. "I won't forget it, and I'll do my best to show you that humans are worth knowing." Zyra studied him a moment longer, then gestured to one of her warriors. A small, glowing orb appeared, floating between her fingers. She tossed it lightly toward Ethan, and it hovered in the air in front of him. "This is a token of passage. It will allow you to move within certain areas of our world. Use it wisely, human. Many will watch you, and not all will welcome your presence." Ethan caught the orb, its warmth surprising him. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zyra turned and walked toward her palace in the distance, her warriors following silently. Ethan watched her go, feeling a strange pull in his chest. He had faced danger, yet something about her presence made him feel alive in a way he had never felt before. He knew that this encounter was only the beginning. As he followed cautiously, he noticed subtle signs that the planet was not entirely hostile. Some creatures peeked from behind crystalline structures, curious but not aggressive. The plants seemed to react to his presence, moving slightly as if observing him. The air hummed with energy, and Ethan realized that this world had a life of its own, one that would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. Ethan knew he had to be careful. Zyra's court would not accept him easily. Other factions would watch, waiting for him to make a mistake. But for the first time, he felt a spark of hope. Humans had survived in impossible circumstances before, and if he could survive here, perhaps he could change how this alien civilization saw humanity forever. As night fell over the crystalline valley, Ethan set up a small camp near a cluster of glowing plants. He carefully observed the sky, noting the moon's rising and the faint aurora-like glow that lit the horizon. He knew sleep would be brief and restless, but he allowed himself a small smile. He had faced the queen and lived to see another day. That was no small feat. And in the quiet of that alien world, Ethan whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." Little did he know, Zyra herself was watching from her palace tower, her golden eyes reflecting the light of the moons. She did not move, but her thoughts were alive with curiosity, questions, and something she had not felt in centuries: interest in a human. The night stretched on, filled with soft hums, distant alien sounds, and the quiet tension of a world that had never welcomed outsiders. Ethan drifted into uneasy sleep, unaware that the choices he would make in the coming days could change the fate of two worlds forever. The next morning, Ethan woke to the soft hum of the alien world. The crystalline rocks reflected the pale light of the twin moons, creating a quiet shimmer across the valley. He packed his small camp carefully, aware that today would be different. Yesterday had been only the first meeting, and now he had to navigate the strange and powerful society of Zyra's people. As he walked toward the palace, Ethan noticed more signs of life. Strange creatures scuttled along the ground, their translucent shells catching the light. Some floated in the air, moving gracefully as if they were part of the wind. Even the plants seemed more animated than yesterday, leaves swaying in patterns that almost looked like signals. Ethan realized quickly that everything in this world responded to more than just nature. There was intelligence in the air itself. The palace loomed ahead, its architecture alien yet magnificent, towers twisted upward in spirals. Glowing faintly with energy, bridges of crystal connected the towers, and the walls seemed to hum with a soft vibration. Ethan could see Zyra standing on a balcony above, her golden eyes scanning the valley. She noticed him almost immediately and gestured for him to approach. Inside, the palace was even more breathtaking. The walls were alive with color, shifting slowly as if the building itself breathed. Aliens move with elegance, their forms both familiar and strange. Ethan followed cautiously, trying not to make any sudden movements. Every eye in the room seemed to watch him, and he could feel the weight of curiosity, suspicion, and judgment pressing on him. Zyra led him to a chamber where her council met. The council consisted of 6 elders, each commanding in their presence. Their eyes were sharp, and their expressions were unreadable. Ethan bowed slightly, unsure of the correct protocol, but hoping his gesture would be understood as respectful. "You may speak," Zyra said, her voice calm but firm. "Tell my council why this human is here." One of the elders, a tall figure with blue-silver skin, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, he is untested. Humans are unpredictable. How can we know he does not bring danger to our world?" Ethan nodded. "I understand your concern. I am here to explore and learn. Earth has no interest in fighting. We want friendship, trade, and knowledge. I promise I will not harm anyone here." Another elder, smaller but with eyes that glowed like amber, spoke. "You speak well, human, but words are easy, actions are different. Our people have seen many species, and most lie to survive." Ethan took a deep breath. "I did not expect you to trust me immediately. That would be foolish. But I asked for a chance to show you that humans are honest, brave, and capable of working with others. Give me tasks, I will do them. You will see what I am." There was silence. Ethan felt all eyes on him, weighing his words. Zyra's golden gaze never left him. Then she nodded slightly. "Very well. You will not stay idle. You will undergo our trials. They are designed to test outsiders' strength, intelligence, courage, and morality. Succeed, and perhaps you will earn our trust. Fail," and she paused, letting the threat hang in the air. "You will leave this world, or worse." Ethan swallowed hard but kept his composure. "I accept." The council discussed in low tones, their words unintelligible to him. He noticed the subtle gestures, the nods, and the frowns. Finally, Zyra spoke again. "Your first trial begins immediately. You will navigate the Valley of Echoes. Many have entered, but few have returned. Go carefully." Ethan nodded, and a warrior handed him a small device, glowing faintly. "This will guide you and communicate with the council. Do not lose it." The Valley of Echoes was not far from the palace, but even a short distance was filled with dangers. As Ethan entered, the crystalline structures grew taller, twisting like jagged towers. Sounds bounced off the surfaces, creating echoes that confused the senses. Strange creatures scuttled along the ground, some barely visible until they moved. The valley seemed alive, testing every step Ethan took. He moved cautiously, using the device to track energy patterns. One moment, a crystal underfoot would hum like a warning. Another moment, the shadows would shift as if something watched him. Ethan's heart raced, but he reminded himself of Earth training. Calm mind, observe carefully, act decisively. Hours passed. He climbed over jagged rocks, ducked under crystal arches, and avoided creatures that lunged from the shadows. He found himself in front of a large, glowing pool. The device beeped urgently. Ethan knelt to inspect the pool, realizing it reflected not only his image, but also the valley behind him in strange, moving ways. A voice echoed around him. "Who enters my domain?" it said, deep and resonant. Ethan froze. The voice was everywhere, yet nowhere. "I'm Ethan Miller from Earth. I mean no harm," he said. The water began to ripple violently. From its depths, a creature emerged, large and translucent, with many shifting limbs. Ethan took a step back but did not flee. He remembered Zyra's words: courage, intelligence, morality. He would not fight unless he had to. The creature moved closer, studying him. Ethan spoke calmly. "I only wish to pass. I respect this place and all who live here. I do not wish to harm anyone." The creature paused, then slowly receded back into the water, leaving Ethan trembling but relieved. He realized this was more than a trial of strength, it was a test of character. As he continued, he encountered puzzles built into the valley itself, crystals that needed to be aligned, paths that shifted based on the traveler's choices, and obstacles that required both patience and logic. Ethan solved each one carefully, learning that human creativity and flexibility allowed him to succeed where brute force would fail. Finally, near the end of the valley, he encountered a group of small alien children trapped in a cave that had partially collapsed. Rocks blocked the entrance, and the children cried out for help. Ethan did not hesitate. He carefully removed the rocks, even as some began to shift and threatened to trap him. One child's hand slipped, and Ethan grabbed it, pulling them to safety. When the last child was free, he collapsed at his knees, exhausted but relieved. The device beeped again, and a voice said, "Council acknowledged your actions. Continue to Zyra's palace." Ethan stood and began the long walk back. The valley seemed quieter now, almost respectful, as if it recognized his bravery. The floating land masses above shifted slowly, opening a clear path forward. He realized that every trial was teaching him about the world and himself. Humans were small in size, yes, but capable of courage, creativity, and empathy, traits that could surprise even the oldest civilizations. When he arrived at the palace, Zyra was waiting. Her golden eyes studied him closely, and he could see curiosity, surprise, and something softer in her gaze. "You have done well," she said. "You act with courage and morality. Few outsiders would have saved those children or solved the trials as you did." Ethan bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what any person should do. I wanted to survive, and to show that humans can be trusted." Zyra smiled faintly, a rare expression among her people. "Trust is earned, human. You are beginning to earn it. But do not think your trials are over. Tomorrow, you will face new challenges, ones that will test not only your mind and body, but your judgment. Some may try to deceive you. Some may try to harm you. Remember this, courage is important, but wisdom and restraint are equally necessary." Ethan nodded, feeling both anxious and exhilarated. He realized that this world was more than just a place of strange beauty. It was a world that tested every being who entered it, and it had already tested him. He had survived the first day, but he knew that survival alone would not be enough. To gain Zyra's full respect, he would need to prove that humanity's strength lay not just in courage, but in honor, intelligence, and heart. As he walked to the sleeping quarters, Ethan could not help but think about Zyra. She was unlike any being he had ever met. Powerful, majestic, and intimidating, yet her presence stirred something in him. He felt a strange connection, one that went beyond fear or respect. He wondered what it would take to earn her full trust, and if humans could truly change the perception of an entire alien civilization. Night fell again, and Ethan watched from his window as the twin moons rose. The valley shimmered under their light, and the floating land masses reflected faint glows across the landscape. He knew tomorrow would bring more trials, more dangers, and more lessons. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. He whispered to himself, "One step at a time. Humans can survive. Humans can adapt. And maybe humans can make a difference." The next day, Ethan felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as he prepared for his new trial. Zyra had made it clear that surviving the first test did not mean he was safe. The challenges ahead would test his mind, his courage, and his sense of judgment. He had learned that this world was alive in ways he had never imagined, and he knew he would need to use everything he had learned to succeed. Zyra met him at the palace gates. Her golden eyes regarded him carefully, but there was a faint smile on her lips. "Today, your trial will be more demanding," she said. "You will enter the maze of shadows. It is a place where your perception, strategy, and morality will be tested. Few outsiders have ever completed it." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I will do my best." A group of warriors led him to the entrance of the maze. It was a massive structure made of black crystal, towering over him and stretching into the distance. The surface reflected light in strange ways, making it difficult to judge distances or depth. The hum of the planet was louder here, almost deafening. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped inside. The walls of the maze seemed to shift as he walked. Paths that appeared solid would vanish when he turned his head, and new corridors would open in unexpected places. Shadows moved independently of light, sometimes stretching toward him, sometimes retreating. Ethan realized quickly that this was not just a physical challenge, it was designed to test his mind. He moved carefully, touching the walls and observing the patterns. Occasionally, he would hear whispers, soft and melodic, coming from the shadows. They seemed to mimic his thoughts, making him question his own judgment. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment and focused on his breathing, reminding himself that fear and doubt were the real traps here. Hours passed as he navigated the maze. He solved puzzles that required logic, patience, and creativity. Crystals had to be aligned to open hidden doors. Paths shifted only when he took certain actions in sequence. Ethan realized that brute force would not help him here. He needed to think like the maze to understand its rhythm. Suddenly, he encountered a fork in the path. Both corridors appeared identical, but the whispers from the shadows grew louder, trying to confuse him. Ethan paused. He knew that choosing the wrong path could trap him forever or lead him into danger. He closed his eyes and trusted his instincts, remembering his training on Earth and the lessons he had learned in the Valley of Echoes. Slowly, he chose the left corridor and moved forward. The path led him to a chamber filled with strange energy fields. Within the room were floating orbs, each glowing with a different color. Some seemed harmless, while others emitted dangerous pulses of light. Ethan realized that this was another test, one of morality and courage. He needed to choose which orbs to interact with carefully as he approached. He saw that some orbs contained small alien creatures, trapped and struggling to escape. Others contained objects that looked valuable, perhaps treasure or tools that could aid him. Ethan understood immediately. This was a test of priorities. Would he save the creatures first, or take the objects that might help him? Without hesitation, Ethan reached for the creatures, using careful hands to release them from the energy fields. Some were frightened and tried to flee, while others lingered, observing him with curious eyes. He ignored the glowing objects, knowing that the creatures' lives were more important. The maze seemed to respond to his choice. The energy fields shifted, opening a new path. A whisper echoed through the chamber, softer this time. "You have shown compassion. Few outsiders value life over advantage." Ethan felt a small surge of pride but kept moving. He knew that the maze would not forgive arrogance. Round the next corner, he faced another challenge, a collapsing bridge over a deep chasm. The bridge was made of thin, transparent crystal, barely wide enough to walk on. Below, the shadows of strange creatures moved in the darkness, their shapes terrifying but unseen. Ethan stepped carefully, testing each step before committing his weight. Halfway across, the bridge trembled, and a section cracked beneath him. He froze, balancing carefully, and then took a deep breath. Slowly, he shifted his weight, using his hands to touch the sides of the bridge. Step by step, he moved forward, each movement deliberate and controlled. When he reached the other side, he collapsed briefly, exhausted. His muscles ached, and his mind was tired, but he had survived. The maze seemed to acknowledge his determination, opening a wide doorway that led him further in. The final section of the trial was a room filled with mirrors. Each mirror reflected not only his image, but also possible versions of himself, some cowardly, some deceitful, some violent. The whispers grew louder, and Ethan felt the maze trying to tempt him, showing him paths of fear and power. He realized that this was a test of self-awareness and morality. Would he be tempted to follow the easiest path, or would he remain true to his principles? Ethan closed his eyes and focused on his own voice, his own thoughts. He refused to be distracted by illusions or fear. Slowly, he walked through the mirrors, recognizing each false reflection, but ignoring them. The maze seemed to hum in approval, and a final door opened ahead, glowing with a soft, warm light. Ethan stepped through and found himself in a peaceful garden. Light filtered through translucent trees, and gentle streams of water flowed over crystal rocks. The air was calm, and for the first time in hours, Ethan could breathe freely. Standing at the center of the garden was Zyra. Her golden eyes studied him carefully, and her posture was less rigid than before. "You have completed the maze of shadows," she said. "Your mind, courage, and morality have been tested. You have shown intelligence, bravery, and compassion. Few outsiders could have succeeded as you have. Ethan bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I believed was right. I wanted to show that humans are more than just survival instincts. We care, and we try to do what is just. Zyra nodded slowly. I see that now. But remember, this is only one trial. There will be more, and not all will be as clear as this. Some will challenge your values, your judgment, and even your loyalty. You must be ready. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He had faced fear, confusion, and moral tests, and he had survived. He realized that this world demanded more than physical skill. It demanded thought, wisdom, and heart. Humans had survived on Earth through innovation, courage, and empathy. Perhaps these same traits could allow them to earn respect even from an alien empire. As they walked back toward the palace, Zyra spoke again. Your actions have drawn attention among my people. Some are curious, others suspicious. You will need to continue proving yourself. But for now, you have earned a measure of respect. Ethan nodded. I understand. I will do everything I can to show humanity's worth. Inside the palace, he was greeted by Leora, a young diplomat from Zyra's court. She had observed him during the trials and seemed genuinely intrigued. You moved well through the maze, she said. Few would have saved the creatures. That was clever, and it shows a kind of thinking that surprises my people. Ethan smiled. I've learned that courage alone isn't enough. You have to understand the consequences of your actions, and sometimes, helping the weak is the most important choice. Leora nodded. You may be human, but your mind is sharp. Some here may not see it yet, but I do. Perhaps Zyra sees it too. Ethan felt a small thrill. Allies in an alien world were rare, and he knew that every friend would help him survive. Thank you, he said. I hope I can continue to prove that humans are worth trusting. As night fell over the palace, Ethan returned to his quarters. He felt both tired and energized. The maze of shadows had tested him physically, mentally, and morally. He had faced fear, confusion, and deception, and he had emerged stronger. Yet he knew the trials were not over. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and the world outside the palace was still filled with dangers. Other factions within Zyra's court might act against him, and he would need to be clever to navigate their plots. Ethan gazed out at the valley from his window. The floating landmasses cast long shadows across the crystalline landscape, and the hum of the planet was softer now, almost like a lullaby. He whispered to himself, humans can survive, humans can adapt, and humans can earn respect, even here. He realized that the maze had taught him more than strategy and courage. It had taught him the importance of morality, empathy, and intelligence, traits that might allow humans to not only survive, but to be admired by a civilization far older and wiser than his own. As he drifted to sleep, he thought of Zyra, of Leora, and of the challenges still to come. He knew that his journey had only just begun, and that every step forward could change not only his fate, but the perception of humanity across the stars.